Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and it's time to review The Mandalorian Episode 2. Does this episode make it even better for you to get Disney Plus? That's the question I'm going to ask first. No spoilers, and then I'm going to get into some spoilers because it's hard to review this episode without spoiling what the end of Episode 1 was about. So if you haven't seen it yet, I advise you to get to it because it's clear that the spoiler from 1 is going to be a big part of the show. So if you don't want it spoiled, get to watching the show. There's a million ways you can watch it now. Mandalorian Episode 2. Here's my overall review. If we go to the Disney Plus app, the biggest problem is 33 minutes. Wah, wah. Look, for a show of this scope, we just have come to expect to sit down and watch at least 50 to 60 minutes. And even the first episode was 40. And I remember marking that it felt short and tight and slow. And I think both of these episodes would have been better suited with another 20 minutes, but that would have been a whole nother episode. So now you're learning how to keep cheap TV on Disney Plus. It's what they're doing. And now it's starting to get a little noticeable. It's my only criticism. Now, to be fair, you got to sort of step back and realize all shows do this. This is not just a Star Wars show thing. This is a budgetary thing that shows do. I mean, The Walking Dead is notorious for their walking episodes because sometimes you just got to have an episode in the desert. You can't have it in a crazy city with a million extras and a lot of expensive stuff. Now, that said, this wasn't like a cheap episode. I love the scene with the sandcrawler. So the episode is really just about our Mandalorian has on his mission. He's achieved part of his mission, and when he comes back, his ship is just taken apart by Jawas, and it's a really kind of fun throwback to see the Jawas there, and then they scurry away. So he comes up and tries to blast a few of them, and then we have this cool moment where he tries to get on the ship on the sandcrawler to sort of break into it and get it back, and doesn't have much luck. So then the whole episode is how does he get his ship back in place? Is sort of this is the chapter here. But at the same time, spoiler happens, and we get to sort of learn more about that spoiler. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to get into spoilers, but I'll warn you before I get there. But just before I do, just for those of you that are on the fence, like, does this episode make it any better? No. This episode is nice. People out there, I've seen people already talk, oh, this episode sucks, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, this episode is a necessary piece to get to Section C. But on Disney Plus's part, these probably could have been better as one big episode. And again, it's budgetary. It's clearly budgetary because this was a very expensive show. I mean, they're still delivering. I don't feel like it felt cheap or unnecessary. It just felt short. And it just felt like, okay, well, you're making me wait week to week. If you're going to make me wait week to week, you need to deliver more plot points. And so this show will probably be better in a binge setting, to be honest. This will play more like a movie. But then even then, the recaps and sort of the TV... this episode was very predictable. Very, 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 very predictable from a TV standpoint. But I didn't dislike that. All right, before I get into spoilers, yes, overall, I don't think this episode helps in selling Disney Plus. It's a continuation of the first feeling of, yeah, this is cool. All right, I'm cool. This isn't better by any means than the first episode. This is just okay, here's a little bit more. He goes on a little bit of a detour. It's a delayed detour to sort of get to what I think episode 3 is going to be the most telling, which will be next week. So until episode 3, which I will happily review with you as well, I think right now the only reason to tune in quickly is to avoid said spoiler, which, is kind of cool at the end, but it's not one of those like, oh my God, wait, what? For Star Wars fans, it is because it sparks a big conversation, but a conversation that we sort of need to see play out before we can really resolve. So I would think by episode 3, we'll have a better sense of whether this show is actually worthy and what's going on. I suspect it's worthy, just to be clear. Now, that's my non-spoiler portion. I want to talk about the show more specifically for those who watched with me. Baby Yoda. I have no problem with Baby Yoda, but now the ending of I liked the moment where Baby Yoda walked up and you weren't sure if he was using the Force or not, and he was trying to heal him. That moment was interesting, and then the Mandalorian's like, no, don't go away. And then it becomes clear by the end of the episode that the Mandalorian doesn't understand what this is or the Force. So both of those things are sort of telling parts of this. He doesn't know whoa, how did he do that? I have no idea what happened. Because when he lifts that beast at the end of the episode, he says that line of, explaining to Quill about that. And it's, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure it out myself type of line. So we know that he doesn't really know. So I was waiting for that. So that was one of the big reveals we got, is that the Mandalorian doesn't really seem to understand who he has, which is a very rare species. Yoda was always said to be the last of its kind. We don't know the name of that kind because George Lucas has been notoriously secretive of that. So for Filoni and Favreau to sort of like, we're going there, is ballsy. And so I think it's putting a big target on their back if they screw this up. And I don't think they screwed it up in this episode. I like the fact that this like guy, the Mandalorian, who just owns it with emotion and walking around, now has like a little baby that's not annoying, but can't really talk either. And they become, it really is a Western of just sort of, it's like the professional sort of vibe of like the kid and the hitman. And there's not as many exchanges that need to happen because the baby's old, but still a baby. And so it allows for these sort of more quiet moments, which I appreciate. I think that's kind of more clever than Yoda. Oh, well, I hear you are the Mandalorian is. Like, I'm grateful it's not that. It's just everything will hang upon, well, where do they go with this? And at the end of the episode where Yoda, sort of, you're not sure if, I'm calling him Yoda because we don't have a name yet. Let's call him the child. The child, there's a few moments where you're like, they edited it and directed it in a way where you're just waiting for that moment to finally happen. And so I was disappointed when it actually did because it wasn't that big of a payoff. It was like, oh, it's like, well, duh. They kept cutting to him throughout the whole episode of like, is he going to use the Force? Is he going to use the Force? Is he going to use the Force? And then at the end when he used the Force, it's like, oh yeah, use the Force. Okay, to lift that beast up in the air, and then fainted. It was necessary clearly because we needed to know that the Mandalorian doesn't know about the Force, or how that happened. So you'd think, I don't know, that's where Star Wars lore and like, do the Mandalorians know about Jedis and stuff like that? And that's what because Rey knew later about the stories. So you'd think, why wouldn't people in the sequels knew? Why wouldn't the Mandalorian know when this is after Return of the Jedi? Why wouldn't that have spread around? But anyway, that was the only thing where I'm like, all right. It just, again, the whole episode felt like, all right. It felt like a longer version of the first episode. And by waiting for it, which is now Disney Plus is making us do, my expectations go up, right? And then once I'm sitting there ready, okay, finally waited till 3 a.m. to watch this episode. Okay, it's a half hour. Oh, wow, okay. Well, all right. It was fine. It was fun. I'm not hating it. Now I think this has ended up being, it's a good review because, all right, well, now what? I want to see what's next, right? We're just waiting to see what's going to play out. What does this mean to the show? I did love Quill, the Upnot. I had to look up him. I didn't know I forgot that species, but he's an Ognot. For those that you were not familiar, they are, I didn't know this. They're species of diminutive humanoids who divided themselves into tribal hierarchy. They have pink skin, white hair, upturned noses, and thick layers of jowls. They found work across the galaxy everywhere, from the Jedi Temple and Coruscant to Cloud City and Luthal. One notable Upnot scholar and antiques expert was Corin Piers, who is Sava at the University of Bar-Leth. Yeah, cool. I mean, they clearly know what's going on. Dave Filoni knows all these characters. And I like this character a lot. I like Nick Nolte. I Have Spoken. It's a great, I love his sort of, he has his way. I love when the Mandalorian asked him for, I could use a man like you. And you're like, nope, I've spent my whole life trying to find my freedom. Thank you for bringing peace to my valley. He's just like this really cool retired dude just out in the desert, and I'm all for him. And I'm sad to see him go, but I wonder if they'll figure out ways to bring him back. But at the same time, that's a cool show. If they're like, you know what? We're going to keep introducing Taika Waititi as a droid, Nick Nolte as this awesome alien. Oh, and then guess what? Episode 4, you're going to meet someone completely new, and you don't even know who you're going to meet, and it's going to be that kind of show. Sign me up. I love this idea of like, yeah, it's a galaxy far, far away. Think of the characters you could build, and the Mandalorian would come across and not have to like suddenly be the sidekick of the whole season. That's cool television where they don't have to follow those rules of, well, who's the wacky sidekick for the Mandalorian to have? If they really are going to commit to this and just go through and just random people are going to show up throughout time. But yes, bring me more of that, because I'm like, oh, I want more. When you leave them wanting more, it's great. And, as much as I kind of want to see Quill go along, I love having the moments we had with Quill, and let's see who else pops up in this journey. I'm on board for that. So he was a standout for me. I love the Sandcrawler scene, and Baby Yoda is adorable. I love them. It seems like a puppet is really there, and so kudos to them if that's not a puppet. There probably was a mixture, but I dig it. It's cute. It's the right level of cute. With interesting, and it's clearly helping us to define who this Mandalorian character is. There was one point I was frustrated with the mud beast or whatever at the end. Look, it's not like a massive animal rights activist, although I am because I'm a vegetarian. I do it more for health reasons, not to spew to eat whatever you want. But from a character standpoint, I thought it was odd. Is he standing up for this Yoda baby, but then goes in and just murders this mother of the animal and steals the baby egg? Just felt like, hey, that mom's just sleeping in there, and I'm gonna go steal your child and murder it and give it to these annoying Jawas. I wish we could have seen some. Maybe there was a little bit, but he needed a ship, so he thought, screw it. This beast is as important as this Baby Yoda, and Baby Yoda has the Force, so therefore, and Ku's all cute. But my point being, I don't know. It just felt like maybe he doesn't care that this is Yoda as a kid because he had no qualms going in there, murdering the mom, and taking the baby egg. That was just telling to me it was either a mistake or they should have figured out another thing, or he should have left. I don't know, should have left at least the mom alive and just taken the egg to sort of show that he had. But then it's like we would know he's too nice, and now he's sort of doesn't care about baby animals. I guess some people don't. That's fair. I'm overthinking this one, but it was just a little bit of it just reminded me we don't know. Is he? Does he actually care that Baby Yoda is a baby? Is that really what's stopping him, or does he want him alive? We don't really know yet. We don't really know what his goal is. Does he have no qualms handing over the live Yoda and saying, give me my money and walk away? Now, the Force part is when it is clearly that they're introducing these elements to give him more reason to pause, right? And so to me, it'll be more interesting to see what actually gives him the pause, which I imagine he's going to have at some point, of what's going to happen to this kid, right? Is what we're waiting for that moment. And what's causing him to do that? Is it because he's a kid, because he has a heart? And that's why I'm getting the animal thing. Because sometimes, if you care about animals, it shows you're more caring. I'm just grasping as many straws as I can to sort of get to the heart of what is he going to do? And I think all of this shows I'm still clearly interested. I think we all are, at least if you're still watching, interested in seeing where this goes. There's still a lot of, okay, where's this going to go? My only criticism, again, is the length. And the Baby Yoda using the Force at the end was a little bit it was expected. Everything was sort of, I didn't expect the Jawa thing. That was cool. It was a fun fan moment. I liked him trying to take it on, and I liked Quill helping him and being the loyal sort of helper, and sort of repaying him for and it wasn't even like he felt like he had to, just like, you brought peace to my valley, so I want to help you. I just liked that those two characters, you could tell why they'd be friends. They have sort of a loyalty and a work ethic that, is admirable. So I like that, but the Force power at the end it clearly was something they needed to do, but I don't know if they directed or wrote that as smart as they could have. They could have had that moment happen when the Mandalorian fell off the Jawa thing, and he stopped him, and then put him down. And there could have been a quick, easy moment earlier, and then we could have actually spent the last act of the movie, of the show, attempting to build a little bit more story, either with Quill or learning more about the Yoda character, instead of having to go get the egg. I think the egg finale was not a strong finale for this, to get his ship parts back, and then they left, and then really nothing happened. So if you're going to give us these short chunks, and you're going to sort of rush through them, you got to give us a better tease at the end of episode 2, and I don't think they did. So that's my only criticism of the episode. What do you guys think? Did you watch it? Did you watch it and spoil it for yourself? Does this make you want to watch it more, or does this give you pause? Tell me all your thoughts down below. Hit me up at Andy Signore, and make sure you don't miss Nerd Wars. It was awesome last night. We asked, did Rey ruin Star Wars? And we had some great guests, so you're not going to miss that. It's every Tuesday, Thursday night live. Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, to join the fight, to figure out what topics and people are going to come on. So thank you so much for watching all of this, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks, everybody.